All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're here on another Saturday, and today we are talking about something very important to everyone. It's Suicide Awareness Month, and so we're having that conversation right now. For all of you who are with us, you're joining us from across the, uh, you know, across all platforms uh, where with you. I hope you can see me. If you can see me from Instagram, please make a comment that that we're there. You can see us there from Instagram. We're able to connect to Instagram now with all of our other ones. It says here, I'm looking at this and it says, feel to post to Facebook. Here's what Facebook said. Okay, so it looks like we're not on Facebook, but we are going live on other
YouTube.
on
Yeah.
YouTube. So we're live on YouTube. So let's leave Facebook out of there now. Looks like we can't can go on Facebook, and because that we can go on here. So what which sucks really, but let's see what we can do. All right, so we are live now. We're live on YouTube and Instagram, and on here, YouTube and Instagram on here. If you're joining us in the studio, if you're joining us in the studio, you will not be able. You can hopefully you can hear us. If not, just go ahead and join and just watch it on all and on YouTube or Instagram. Because if you are on StreamYard, you won't be able to enter the join us in the studio, but hopefully you can hear us. All right, that's all that matters, that you can actually hear us. All right, so we're going to talk about traumas today. We want to talk about traumas and suicide. What does that look like in terms of in terms of in terms of all that has to that things that interact with each other, unprocessed traumas unprocessed traumas and suicidal ideations or suicidal attempts can collude together. There's so many stories that you hear now about somebody who committed suicide, etc., etc. So I'm going to put the banner on here, and the title is uh, unprocessed traumas and
And suicide.
suicide. Okay, so we want to take a look at that, and that is our topic of conversation today. So call your friends, call your frenemies, your people that you want to talk to, some people that you don't want to talk to. Let everybody come listen to this, because it's important that we talk about it. It's important that we talk about it. It's important that we understand that we cannot overlook the impact of or the connections of traumas and suicide. Welcome,
Mm.
Esther. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, ma'am. Good evening from Nigeria.
All right. Good evening from Nigeria. So it's evening time for you over there.
Yes, it is.
All right. It is where I am. It is still, what is it? It's 12:12.
None.
It is
Okay.
noon. And so talk to us a little bit about why you wanted to have this show.
Yeah, because lately people talk a lot about suicide, and they think it's just something. We usually say, oh, it's events that have happened recently and it's just overwhelming, and then the person just gets to that point, which is not um, untrue. But
All
at the
right.
same time, we overlook the deeper issues that could have come out of. We talked about ACEs the last time, adverse childhood experiences,
Mm-hmm.
how that can build up and become post-traumatic stress disorder and keep building up till the person gets to that point of suicidal ideations. So just I just thought, let's make the connection between all of that.
All right.
ACEs, trauma in adulthood, and everything. How does that add up to push people to the point of suicide. Yeah, that's why I
Absolutely.
thought we should have this conversation.
Very good, because and then sometimes there's a lot of cultural things. Hopefully, you can hear me on Instagram, please, if you can. Please put something in the chat box from where you're watching us from. Say hello. Let us know where you're from. We're actually on just two places right now. We're on Instagram, and we're on right here on
But I've
YouTube.
shared the link to Facebook, so they can join us from Facebook too.
Oh, we have Facebook. All right.
Yeah, I've shared the link to Facebook.
Okay, very good. So there you
Yeah.
go. So if you're here, so let us know as we go deeper into this particular conversation, because this conversation is very important, and this conversation is something that we do want to talk about. I want to see which where are we on Facebook? Are we on Dr. Marino or
Doctor, yeah, yeah, the link is on Dr. Marino.
the link is on Dr. Marino. So if
Yeah,
you are on our Dr. Marino, we are also on there. The YouTube link. Oh, it looks like we're live on Dr. on. Okay, the YouTube is on here. All right, let
yeah.
me let me share that also on Ekin Marino, so that everybody can be a part of this. Well done. The fact that we know how to do this and make sure that everybody is connected. I love it. I
Yes,
love it.
ma'am.
So I'm going to share this also on my personal page, for those of you on our personal page, because these conversations are important enough that we want to make sure that you're listening to them. All right, so I see some of you are entering the studios. All right, make sure. Thank you. I see hello YouTube, hello Instagram. Thank you. I appreciate those of you who are letting us know that you're with us from the different places that you are hearing us from. That is important that we do this. All right. So when we're talking about unprocessed traumas, these are traumas that have happened to us. A lot of us don't process them anyway, and we just we continue to live life as if everything is okay. We want to push through things. We want to make sure. You hear people say, I'm pushing through it. Oh, I'm a strong Black woman. I'm a strong man. I'm a strong one. Look, enough of all this pushing through stuff. All right. We want to make sure we want to go to the place, leading me beside still waters. We want to go to the place of still waters, get our souls and all that stuff, all that gunk has been on us, just living in this world. We want to cleanse it first. We want to be beside still water. Stop pushing through constantly. I want to push through. I'm fighting my way. I'm doing all of this. At a time where you just need to lay down your weapons and get healed, so that you can actually do this life properly. Get healed so that you can do this life properly. We want you to stop fighting so much and just get yourself beside still waters. Get yourself beside still waters. Because what then happens is we get to a point where you start thinking that I'm just so tired of all of this. I'm tired of it. And telling somebody, oh, suicide is a sin. Suicide is this. Suicide is it's not the right thing to do. We used to have penalty against those things in Nigerian system. But I thank God they've done away with that horrible law. And so it's important to know that telling somebody, trying to educate somebody who is upregulated, somebody who is just frustrated with their lives, trying to educate them and reason with them doesn't work. We have to try to find some kind of resolution to what it is that they're feeling first, before we can have conversations with them. Is this
Mm,
making
mm.
sense, right?
Yeah,
So
yes, it is.
the first thing I just want to talk about is that trauma is a risk factor for suicide. All right, that
Mm,
trauma is a risk factor. So let's just take a look at that. Like, traumas are risk factors, the things that we don't look at. So when we're experiencing traumas, especially if we've experienced them in our childhood, we're now adults and we're still experiencing it in some ways, in some shape or form. All right. And then, traumas don't just stand alone. They co-occur with things. So they co-occur with major depression, they co-occur with anxiety, they co-occur with eating disorders, they co-occur with substance disorders, they co-occur with obsessive compulsive disorder. And so they co-occur with so many things. There's impaired functioning. Your life is not going as it's supposed to go, like you want it to go. So it's a risk factor. All right. So trauma is a risk factor to when we're talking about about suicide. And people don't just wake up one morning and say, I want to kill myself. A lot of the reasons why people want to kill themselves is because they're tired of this world. They're tired of having to deal with it. They're tired of having to struggle. And sometimes it just feels as if, you know, leaving is a solution. All right. It is a solution to them. It is a solution. So sometimes, those suicidal ideation, we need to normalize them. It makes sense that you want to kill yourself. It makes sense that you don't want to be a part of this because, you're so depressed. Nothing looks good. People who are in the throes of depression, is like Dante's hell. When he says it's the deepest dark. It's the deepest dark. It's blacker than black. You can't see the front of you. And so sometimes they just want to end it all, right? And so to tell them, oh, don't, it's a sin, it's a this, it doesn't work. That's not the solution. We're going to talk about some solutions today, but right now we're just trying to examine those risk factors. And so trauma is a risk factor to everybody, who is to people who are experiencing suicide. The type of traumas that you're experiencing also matters. So if you are in the throes of physical abuse, somebody's abusing you, especially the type 1 traumas. If somebody is physically abusing you, somebody's sexually abusing you, and then you go to those the type 2 traumas, which are emotional neglect. Somebody's really neglecting you, somebody is not doing what they're supposed to do with you, and then life just looks very gray. Those are things that we're looking at. So if I'm talking to you today and you feel alone, you feel as if there's nobody understands you, nobody gets it. You've been the one who's been going through all of these things by yourself. And I want you to know you're not alone. You reach out to us at JARS. Just reach out to us. We'll try to connect with you. It might feel alone, and I understand this. Sometimes I've been told that sometimes in different nations, even their suicide hotlines don't work. And so you just want somebody that you can talk to. You don't want somebody that can understand. When you're feeling isolated, when you're feeling as if nobody gets it, that loss of our human connection that can cause you to want to kill yourself. Loneliness is really egregious. Loneliness feels as if, and it doesn't mean that you are by yourself. Sometimes you can feel loneliness in the multiplicity of people. And so it's important to know that we are not, it's a trauma response to feel that way. It's a feeling, and the feeling is not necessarily reality, but it is for the person who is feeling it. All right. It is for the person who's feeling it. So let me just pause here to say to people, if somebody's name comes to your mind, if somebody's name comes to your heart, then you want to reach out to that person. Want to reach out to that person. We sometimes we're so isolated and we feel as if we're connecting because we're online. Because we're online, sometimes we feel a sense of pseudo connectivity that's not there. But you want to make sure that you're there, because sometimes you see somebody on Facebook or you see somebody on WhatsApp and you think they're fine. If their name comes to you, you want to connect with them. You want to connect with them. You want to make sure that you say hello. Is everything okay? Are you, da da da? If you're able to go to somebody's house, let them, yeah, and drop off, and just look at them in the face, then you want to do that too. So making sure that we are responsible for each other, because you never know what the other person is going through. Making sure that we are responsible for each other. I'm saying that again. We are making sure that we're responsible for each other, even sometimes in your own house, in your own home. You don't know what those children are going through. Maybe your spouse is going through it, or even yourself, and you're not saying, even in the same house, check in on your children, see how they're doing, because they might be going through something that they have not told you. They might think that you're not going to understand, because when they come tell you, you're going to say, we're going to fast and pray about this. You're going to do that. It's not, all those things are okay, but those are not the only things. You cannot use spiritual method to heal something that is between our own humanness. Do you understand what I'm saying? So a lot of the times is they want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want to know that they matter. So a little bit of time that you're going to spend with your child, and put away all of the superiority stuff, because all of the things, and just connecting with them might be able to allow them to open up to you, so that you can know what they're feeling. And you've seen parents who are like, oh my God, I didn't know happen, and the child attempts suicide. And so we
Mm.
want to make sure that we are not contributing to the risk factors. Is this making sense, Esther?
Yes, it is.
And let me
It
know
is
if you have
making
any
a lot of
questions.
sense.
And let me know if you have any questions from any of, or the comments from any of the portals.
Yeah, we don't have any comments yet, but I was hoping that we could um, draw a link between how unprocessed trauma from childhood can appear in the life of an adult, and then they start thinking of suicide.
Yeah, okay. So that's what we're saying. And so let's talk about psychological mechanisms, for example. So the psychological mechanisms, let's think about that. So unprocessed traumas, can lead to diagnosis or conditions that are known as PTSD, complex traumatic stress, post-traumatic stress disorder, complex trauma. It can lead to depression. It can lead to anxiety, which are all known risk for suicide. That's the connection there, Esther. The unknown
Mm,
risk for suicide. So, you have developmental trauma, complex trauma, PTSD, you have depression, you have anxiety, you're constantly having panic attacks, maybe, or maybe you have this dissociative disorder, which has to do with multiple personalities. All of this are well-known risk factors for suicide. That is where the psychological connection is. So when
mm,
you have those traumas that have not been processed, all right, and the reason being that traumas can actually distort cognitive processes. It can disrupt your cognitive process, your ability to reason rationally. So trying to educate somebody who is already distorted doesn't make sense. All right, it's actually aggravating. They're going to tune you out. And so a lot of the times when we have distorted cognitive thoughts, cognitive processes, it can then lead to negative self perceptions. The way I see myself is then negative. This way I see my world is negative. The way I'm seeing others can be negative. And it can also lead to hopelessness. There's people who have attempted suicide will talk about it. They just want to escape the pain. They want to escape the hopelessness. It's just feel, look, the number one ingredient in the therapeutic process that we should always punctuate and highlight is hope. All right. If there's no hope, then there's no reason to live anymore. So
mm.
hope is what keeps us as human beings to keep trying, to keep hoping and moving forward. So hope is a change agent in, even in the restorative zones, right? So we need to make sure that we have hope. But a lot of the times when you are been traumatized and you are experiencing all of this, depression, anxiety, anger issues, all of this, so there might be a sense of hopelessness. And when that sense of hopelessness is there, it feels as if everything is lost, or this sense of worthlessness, like I'm not worthy. And a lot of the times
Mm.
people don't articulate this, they don't say it out, because it is a taboo to say it, especially when you're religious. Because once you order that in your mouth, somebody will say, I reject that in Jesus' name. Somebody will say, they'll clamp you down right away. They say, you can't say that, you can't say that, you can't say that. As if I don't say it, it takes it out of my head, because even if I'm
Mm.
not saying it, I'm still thinking it. So you shutting somebody down and telling them don't say that, don't say that, doesn't mean that they have stopped saying it. Like a parent who told the child, you can't stand up, I need you to sit down, take your sit, take your sit. And then they sit down, and then the child is just looking at them. I said, what are you looking at? And the child says, I'm sitting because you asked me to sit, but in my mind I'm standing up. You understand? In my mind, I'm saying that. So the fact that you're telling someone that they shouldn't think about suicide, that they shouldn't talk about suicide, or they shouldn't feel hopeless, or they shouldn't feel worthless, the fact that you're telling them not to say that doesn't mean that they're not thinking about it, because you're not in their
Mm.
thoughts. Does this make sense?
Mm.
That is another
Yes.
thing. We, as a culture, we don't allow people to express what it is that is happening to them, because if they
Mm.
express it, we all of a sudden think that is not a good thing. You shouldn't be saying that. That is not a good thing. You should not be addressing that. We don't allow people to be authentic to themselves, so that they can get the help that they need. People will tell you, don't cry. That's a sign. What are you crying about? Is God can do everything, and God can do this. As if God doesn't allow you to express emotions. Even
Mm.
Jesus cried. You understand? So when somebody,
Yeah.
I would rather know what is coming out of your mouth, so that I can help you, than to stamp it out and I'm not able to help you. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm.
So
Yeah.
if you're talking about worthlessness and hopelessness and stuff, I immediately know that you're struggling. I immediately know what is happening with you. I am not going to take the Bible and whack you on the head or whatever it is. I'm able to help you. So we have to be
Mm.
careful in even the things that we say to people. And because that's when then things happen and then we're surprised.
Mm.
Oh wow, how did that happen? Oh well, this person has been saying it, we just didn't recognize it.
Listen.
This person has
Yeah.
been saying that they don't have any hope. This person has been expressing it in one way or the other, but we as a community, we miss it. We miss it because of religion. We miss it because of culture. And we are no longer addressing what is the big elephant in the room. So I am going to encourage us to please let people speak, so that we can know how to help them. So we can know how to help them. Is this making sense, Esther? Make sure you're reading the
Yes.
comments.
Yes. Yeah.
Re-
It's we have some really interesting comments. Mama Alexander says shame, guilt, depression, loneliness can lead to suicidal ideation, which we've just talked about. Dr. Irene says silencing people only aggravates the situation. We need to create
Absolutely.
safe spaces where people can talk about what they're experiencing.
Absolutely.
Miss Nkechi says religion helps to incubate trauma due to lack of freedom of expression. Yeah,
Absolutely.
so
And
those are the
let's
comments.
talk about those safe places, for example, because we talk about, I ask my students, I talk to my students about this, and I say, you have to be a safe place. You have to be a safe place. It's not just even the safe places where they can go. You should be a safe place. And what does that mean? It means that you're not going to shut people off. You're not going to shut them down. It means that what they tell you, you're not going to go broadcast it everywhere. It means that you are not you yourself are not in the trauma zones yourself, that you've already done the
Mm.
work, so that you're inviting people can come to you. You don't get upset at everything that is said to you. Do you see what I'm saying? All of
Mm-hmm.
us are going to experience some kind of traumas in our life, and it's either you've experienced it, you're experiencing it, or you will experience it. It is the human condition. Nobody, the only
Mm.
people who have escaped it as people who have died. You understand? But if you're in this human experience, this thing that we're experiencing together, you will experience traumas, and it is okay to stop. It's okay to stop and say, this is happening to me right now. I'm going to move into the still waters and restore my soul. I might need community around me. I need community around me. I need people that can pour into me at this point in my life. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm.
I like people, I want
Yes,
people
ma'am.
that I have people who can check up on me, that can say, we got this, we're with you on this, because we all go through things. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you a weak person. It just
Mm.
makes you human. It doesn't make you a weak person, it just makes you human. And it also means that you're practicing universal principles. Nobody was
Mm.
ever made to keep going, 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 going. Nobody.
Mm.
That's why, even God said, remember one day to keep it at rest. It's a holy day to separate it and to rest.
Mm.
And so a lot of us also just have to make sure when things are happening to us, we kind of wussir a little bit and take the time to process it, and take the time to help heal ourselves. You hear bad news, something has happened. We have to keep going, but we also have to take a minute away and begin to I know that I can't handle these other things right now. I have to be able to to take care of myself. And if the people
Mm.
in my environment are not allowing me to do that, because they don't want to hear the things that I'm saying, because they want everything to always be perfect, we don't even we you know somebody will say, I don't have food in my refrigerator, and somebody immediately will say, I reject that in Jesus name. Or they will say, oh, you say you have plenty of food, you say you
Stop
have this,
confessing
you stop
negatively.
confessing negative things and things like that. Those things are not, they're dysfunctional in a bit of way, because when you don't have food in your refrigerator, all right, it's just a fact that you don't have food in your refrigerator, or it's the fact that something's happening right now. You're sick, your family member is not well. It's just a fact right now. Then we can now go to hope, and we can go to faith, and we can go to actions, works. What are we going to do about this? How is this going to help us? Those are the kind of things that we're looking for. Is this making sense?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Faith, foolishness, and presumption from Dr. Irene. That's a very interesting way to put
What
it.
did you say?
Dr. Irene says faith, foolishness, and presumption.
Oh yeah,
I said
that's
that's a
Dr.
very interesting way to put it.
Yes, that is Dr. Casey Price's book. If you
Mm.
are a believer and you have never read that book, get it. It's called Faith, Foolishness, and Presumption. Faith,
Mm.
foolishness, and presumption, and it is well worth it. I don't know if it's still in print, but find it. Faith, Foolishness, and Presumption by the late Frederick, Dr. Casey Price, and it tells you a lot of the things that we call faith is just foolishness. A lot of it is just presumptive. It's just presumptive. And you have to really figure out which one is faith and which one is just, I say it's just some cultural things that we call faith. It's just some
Mm.
cultural things that we call faith, and it's not. So we have to understand that we are, as we are spirits, we're having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings, but we're also human beings having a human experience, and we're human beings. You understand? We have access to different realms in this life, and we have to be able to satisfy each one of those realms um, um, effectively. You understand? Like
Mm.
I was saying in the class I just finished teaching, we can say, oh, I'm hungry, God feed me, God feed me, and then open your mouth, God feed me, God feed me, God feed me, we don't do that. You right? Because God's not just going to come drop something in your mouth like that. It's going to send people. There's going to be people around you. He's going to show you something.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
our own human ability to connect on this particular universe, that is
Yeah.
telling us that we can be here. And so we have to make those connections. We're going to use the resources around you. You're going to use the people around you. You know, like you, if you want to, if your car doesn't have gasoline or petrol, all right. You don't put your hands on your car and say, fill it up, fill it up, fill it up. It's going to be filled up. It's going to be filled up. You drive to the gas station. You pay the attendant. You take the pump. You
Not so. Yeah.
fill you fill your car. All right. That's the same thing. We need to get away from this foolishness and this presumptive attitudes. All right.
Okay. Someone posted a comment, and that brought a question to my mind. So I'm going to read the comment and then ask the question. She said, "Some are sick, and they will be like, I'm well." So we use positive affirmations in counseling and therapy. How do you help people understand the difference between facing the reality and positive affirmations when they are dealing with suicide?
All right, that's good. Now, look, positive affirmations actually same positive affirmations is redundant because
It's
affirmations should
tautology.
be
Yeah.
positive. So,
Yeah.
so when we're using affirmations, it's actually a CBT practice, but it's also very very religious. A lot of religions have it. Now, the what is coming out of your mouth has to be congruent with the thought in your head, all right, and has to be congruent with your neural pathways. You can be saying, I'm going north, I'm going north, I'm going north. You can say that till you're blue in the face. If the computer thing in your head is programmed to east, you will find yourself in east, all
Mm.
right, even though you're saying this. So we have to make sure that there is a congruence in everything that is happening. So it's not just about
Mm.
the affirmations, it's also the work we're doing in processing the things inside of us so that it can be aligned to what is coming out of our mouth. So that is why a lot of positive things, confessions don't work, is because you say positive what is it, but in your unconscious mind, there are things in there that have not been processed that is going to take you to where you don't want to go. So it is important that we do that. So, and then
Mm.
positive affirmation doesn't mean that you are unrealistic. If you're dirty, if you wake up in the morning, if you wake up in the morning, you're going to take a shower. Well, you cannot say positive affirmation, I am
My
clean.
body is
Yeah,
clean.
my body, what is that? So some things also is just common sense. It's that's
Mm.
what we're talking about.
Mm.
You cannot go into the theater and allow a surgeon who is just being positive to
Open you
actually
up.
perform surgery on you just because I'm
Yeah.
saying I am a neurosurgeon. I'm a neurosurgeon. I'm a neurosurgeon. You can say that to your blue in the face, but I want to know that you have done the work that
Mm.
qualifies you to be this person. So that's
Yeah.
what we're
Yeah.
talking about. That's the faith, foolishness, and presumption aspect
Mm.
of it. Don't
Mm-hmm.
presume things. Don't be foolish when it comes to this. Making sure that you are able to balance and understand what faith is. When we're talking about faith. Faith is the ability to see beyond where you are. Faith is
Mm.
what brings us into a future, into an expected end. That is what faith does. It allows you to go beyond this framework of this material
Mm.
world. It allows you to
Mm.
go from this material world and step into another plane that is higher than this plane. All right, that's what it does. It doesn't remove you, okay, from being a human being. It just steps you into another plane. And the way you do that, you're going to say, okay, this is where I am, but this is where I want to go. But denying where you are doesn't make it faith. Faith says, this is where
Mm.
I am, but I want to go to the next level. I want to go here. And
Mm-hmm.
whatever I need to do to
Mm-hmm.
get there, including what I say, including what I do, then those things are now in unison to get me there.
Mm.
If this is
Mm.
making sense.
Yes, it does. It
All
does.
right.
So I think that we're running out of time. So maybe we can just go into solutions to
Running out of
unprocessed
time.
traumas, yeah, and
Running out of time. I
suicidal
haven't even
ideation.
started, man. Okay, so let's
Oh, okay. We have all day then.
no, I'm kidding. Uh, so just so you know that, let me just, I want to talk about the neurobiological impact of this.
Mm,
Traumas can alter your brain structure. Oh
mm,
no, it can alter brain structure, it can alter function. All right, especially when you are when we're talking about neural pathways, and
mm,
all of the brain networks. I mean, we can show you MRI upon MRI. We can show you that it shows that, like, the physical structures of brain are actually impacted. So this is not just we're talking nonsense. You can see physical, scans that will show you that some, especially the developing child, you will see that their brain will shrink, which impacts so many parts of their brain. And so when that happens, the brain is not functioning in the way it should be functioning, because then it is has been hijacked. All right. And when you have this this neurological changes, then they increase, your vulnerability to suicidal behaviors. All right. Especially another thing is, we cannot remove addiction from this. Sometimes the
mm,
addiction also colludes with all of this, right? Okay, so what do we need to do? Coping mechanism, when you have unprocessed trauma, knowing, you start coping with different things. You're doing, using substances. There's self-harm, there's all of this. But now, what can we do? That's what you want me to talk about. What can we do?
yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Yes, yes.
What can we do? So when we're talking about this, take care of the things that are happening with you, people. Take care of it. Take care of yourself. Go to this to still waters. Restore your soul. Understand? Because the trauma that you don't process, you're going to pass it on to your children. It's the same way we can pass on traumas. It's the same way we can pass on healing. We can pass on restoration. What do you want to pass on to the next generation? So if you've been abused, if you've been neglected, if you've been traumatized in your life, take a look at it. I hear people say things like, so many bad things have happened, Doc. If I go into that place, I will never come out. That's because you don't have
Mm,
a trauma focused person helping you. If you have a
mm,
trauma focused person helping you in terms of a therapist, a counselor, and stuff, they will help you walk right back into the light. They will help you walk
mm,
right back into the light, and your life after trauma, which we call post-traumatic growth, will look so much more different from even the one before the trauma. It will be different.
mm,
You will be able to live life to the fullest. So it is the gift that keeps on giving. And because you
mm,
say the book stops here, this is where it stops. I'm not going to be the one terrorizing my children. I'm not going to be the
mm,
ones terrorizing my spouse. I might have seen my parents do it. I am not going to do it. I'm going to get the help that I need. Once you do that, then you pass that on to your children. And then you pass that
mm,
on to your children's children, because now your nervous system is not so upregulated. Your children are able to relax with you. But when you don't do that, and you're just pushing on, and you're just pressing on, you're doing all of that gunk that you thought that you repressed, all of that stuff you don't want to talk about, it goes on to the next generation, people. Then it's called, through the process called epigenetics. It would be passed on to the next generation. But the
mm,
same way when you're healed, when you're restored, when you are feeling good, that also passes on to the next generation. All right. So the first thing is, let's take care of our own traumas. Find someone who can help you. Find a professional. Find somebody who can help you. Take care of those around you. We're responsible for each other. So find somebody and ask how they're doing. Their name comes to your mind. Talk to them. Call them. All right. Then practice what I call the 5 fundamentals of wellness. 5 fundamentals. The first one is breath work. Learn to breathe properly. All right. So it could be box breathing, it could be belly breathing. When your brain is hijacked, the brain is diverting oxygen for you. You want to take control and begin to breathe properly. So right now we can breathe properly. You're going to inhale, you're going to hold, and you're going to exhale like you are blowing into a balloon. So practice breathing properly. That's the first one. The second one is is hydration. I want to be able to hydrate because my brain needs water to be able to produce all of the goodness, all of the serotonin, dopamine, everything that it needs. It needs water to be able to do it effectively. It needs water to be able to do it to be able to produce those things efficiently and effectively. So you need water. So drink water, not juice, not this, water. Water, water, water. The third one is food is medicine. Food is medicine. So what kind of food are you putting into your system? You eat foods that are nourishing. If you can pronounce it, there's no point eating it. So food is medicine. So before you put that thing in your mouth, is this going to nourish me or is this going to take away from me? I want to know that. Food is medicine. The more colors on your food, the better. On your plates, the better. So you want to make sure that you're not destroying all of the goodness of the food by cooking it too long. Yeah, which is something that we do in our culture. We take vegetables and we kill them off by the how long we put them in the pots and cook them. So making sure that you're eating the right things. The fourth one is sleep. How am I sleeping properly? Sleep is the body's work. Am I getting enough sleep so that my body can do the work? And then the last one is movement. In movement in your body, you're making sure that I'm moving because trauma is stored in the body. So I want to make sure that I'm moving, I'm exercising, I'm walking, I'm doing all the things I'm supposed to do so that I can be well. All right. And if you are in the throes of depression, if you are in the throes and you're just feeling numb, you just feel, oh my God, I'm just so numb, or you are dissociated, fine. Hopefully, I'm hoping that you have somebody next to you and who can help you. But try tapping. Try tapping. Just I'm not even going to teach you the tapping skills. Just tap your body, like tap different parts. Just tap. All right. It's some that can help. Bring you to a place where you can actually begin to move a little bit. So there's a lot of things that you can do, but we're going to stop there. So drink water, sleep, making sure that you're doing those five fundamentals that I talked about. It's important. What are some of the social things that you can do? Making sure that you have a connection to people. Nobody is an island. Making sure that there are people in your life that you can call, that you can tell this is happening to me. Nobody is an island. Those, especially for those of you who are saviors, you're Messiah. You have the Messiah complex. You're constantly helping everyone else, making sure that you also help yourself and say, "Hey, I need help. Hey, I need help. Hey, I need help. This is happening to me." And sometimes I need help just means I need support. Those of you on the other end, you haven't seen your neighbor for a time, you've been to church and that person is no longer coming, you're in a group and that person is no longer speaking, pick up the phone and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about you. What's going on? Is everything okay?" These are how we watch out for each other. One of the cures for suicide is connection. 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 Who do I feel connected to? Who do I feel connected to? It's not the person who is trying to tell me what to do. It's the trying who sees me and who hears me. All right, we're going to end there.
Okay, I was hoping you were going to mention the culture you taught us at Jars, having your six people. I don't
Oh
know
yeah,
if you want
you
to
go ahead
remind
and
people
talk
about
talk
that.
about that. Esther, talk
Oh,
about that. It's
okay.
fine.
Okay. All right. So there's a culture we have to have your six people. You have six people you can count in your life who you can reach out to at any point you're feeling low, feeling down. You must have six people. And we had this culture of asking ourselves, okay, right now, pause, think about it. Do you have six? And if you do not, there are more than six people watching right now. Reach out to somebody and make them your sixth person, or offer to be a sixth person, and that's how connection is built. So that's a culture I think you can practice, and thank you for teaching
Absolutely.
us that.
Absolutely. That's a trauma informed care approach. Who are your six? Who are your six? Who are your six? Do you have six? Some people have just one person, and that by itself can traumatize, because if that one person is not available, then you're in danger. Six, it surrounds you. You want to be surrounded by people. A lot of us have a lot of people, but we don't have people who are surrounded out. So you might have a lot of
Mm,
acquaintances, you might have a lot of this, but you don't have six people that you can say, these are my own, these are my support system. I can count on these people to be supported. So thanks for bringing that up, Esther. So connection, connection, connection. Thank you, all of you who have joined us on YouTube, on Instagram, and on Facebook. We really appreciate it. On the 27th, I am going to be having another conversation at AMN with a member, with a program manager from DBH, Department of Behavioral Services in San Bernardino, here in Southern California. So look, watch out for that. The 27th, we're going to be talking again about the resources that they have, and also we're going to be asking them questions, because they deal with this day in, day out, in terms of trying to protect people from killing themselves, and also trying to make sure that we understand that these things happen. We have to be aware of it, and to stop, trying to tell people, oh my God, you committed suicide, you have committed the pardonable, unpardonable sin, and et cetera, et cetera. So we want to make sure that we're educated, so that we can be more compassionate. So that we can be
mm.
more compassionate. Thank you so much, Esther. Thank you for joining me. I
Thank
always,
you too for joining, for agreeing to have the conversation.
yes, yes, you bring me here all the time. All right, everyone, thank you so much. We're going to end the stream, and we'll see you on the 27th. Thank you.
All right, bye.